People don't understand. They're like, oh, Green Beret, Delta, SEALs, they're kind of all the same. People have no idea the difference, the drastic difference between a tier 1 element CQB and everyone else. A regular SEAL unit, a Green Beret, ODA, a Ranger squad, they're all good at CQB, and I'm sure they're all much better than any of these listeners. Whatever, as you know, as harsh as that may sound to some gun nut out there, and they probably know that. And those guys are a danger to us and themselves if they were to try to get in the stack with a tier 1 element. They have no idea the level, and you can't understand the level of CQB those guys do, and until you do it, until you, for months and months and months and months and months, do nothing but CQB every day, and you're held to the highest standard. And if you don't meet that standard, you're gone. So by the time, you're only as good as your weakest link. So CQB at times can be a little bit difficult at the beginning of the course when there's a guy in there who's good, but he's going to slow you. He's not going. He's not going to meet this standard, and in a weird way, like you can't progress until he leaves, because it's based on this premise that for me to do my job, I expect you to do your job. And if you don't do your job, it's going to affect my job. So once you get those people out of the way, and it's nothing but guys who are capable, moldable, they can learn quickly, and you get those guys that are the only ones left over, you have no idea how fast and accurate those guys can get. So it is a massive, massive jump from training from a lower tiered element to just tier 1 training. And just when you think you're like, we graduated, we're doing, you only know what you know. So I'm now doing CQB at a much higher level than I've ever done CQB, and I think I'm good. And then you show up to your team and you're like, there's another gear to CQB, and I don't think I have that gear. So it's crazy. It really is. There's no other way to describe it unless you've seen it, unless you've trained for months and months and got the best that you think you can get, and then show up to your actual team and have them leave you in the dust and feel like it's almost dangerous if you were to take a shot. Like, they're moving so fast, you're afraid you might shoot your teammate if you're not, completely switched on. It's a rude awakening.
Is the environment there, is it competitive, or is it you guys are all working off of each other, kind of pushing each other through? That makes sense.
It is competitive as competitive gets.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as a new guy. And if you don't keep up, even though you just made it through all this training, and they'll say it all the time, it's not personal, it's just business. And if you don't keep up, see ya. This just wasn't the job for you. You're still, and they'll even give you praises on the way out the door. They're like, man, you're going to go back to group. You're going to be the best Green Beret. You're going to go back to Ranger Battalion. You're going to be the best Ranger. And now you're going to be, and rightfully so, the absolute best Ranger or Green Beret or SEAL or Marine Raider. You'll be the best CQB guy they've ever seen. And they won't, and that same guy who will now be the best they've ever seen at CQB isn't good enough to be at a tier 1 unit. It's hard for people to truly understand the difference.
Yeah, that is amazing. I'm trying to process that right now. And I mean, I can see the idea of it, but it's just understanding that separation. I think, I don't think people could really.
I don't know how, a better way to describe it other than, I love football, and I'd imagine I could not play D1 college level football, and those guys are as fast as can be, and they've worked their whole life to play this game, and when I hear those guys talk about moving to the NFL, and be like, the speed of which this game moves is hard to fathom. I think that's the best way maybe to try to translate it to something else.
That's a really good way to put it. I think even there too, it's like, I mean, what are the attrition figures for Delta?
That's a.
Oh yeah,
I can't say that.
Yeah.
It's high.
Yeah,
it's high.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I know it's very high. I was like, for sure, everyone always talks about how hard it is to make that transition from college football to pro.
And besides calling them high, I'll try to put it in perspective. It's not just that they're high. Of course, you would expect them to be high, but you're not talking about like a high attrition rate of kids off the street. It's a high attrition rate of the best Green Berets, the best Rangers, the best Marine Raiders. SEALs can go to either one that they want to go to. So you have guys that have already been through, selection processes and guys that are experienced within those teams, and they believe to be themselves the best, to be the best of those teams, or else they wouldn't be trying to come to the next level. And those guys have a massive washout rate. It's sometimes when I talk about it, to be honest with you, when I talk about that, I don't say that and think to myself, man, I'm pretty badass then.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I think about that. I'm like, I think about that. I'm gonna go, man, that's crazy. It's humbling.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievably humbling.
Well, you highlighted that, and I really hadn't even thought about that before, but some guys make it all the way to the team and they can't clear out. And they're like, all right, go be the best on one of the tier 2 units.
Yep.
And that's something people probably don't account for. It's like, you can get all the way there and still not climb the mountain fully.
Yeah.